All right, well, you might not know this, but we are ready to start our Shabbat celebration. I got the cue from Sharon back there. We are ready to resume with all of our Zoom people, our Shabbat celebration, and we're glad to be here with you. I am Rabbi Barry Silver. This is Cantor, Carol, Robbins, Garrett, and you are at Mariposa. Mariposa, a butterfly, which is like what we're trying to accomplish here. We come in looking like a little insect, and we leave Shabbat service beautiful and ready to take flight. And that's why we're here to celebrate the Shabbat. We're also here as part of Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor, generation to generation. We practice a rational approach to Judaism. A rational approach that takes the great, wondrous revelations of science and uses them to inspire a celebration of Judaism. We join the two great revelations together. Now, you are not required to think like we do. Everyone can have their own concept and their own thoughts. So if there are people who want to have an irrational view of Judaism, they are welcome to it. But from up here, you will find a rational point of view expressed, and we're very interested in hearing from you and hearing your points of view. Anytime you can come up to us and share with us your thoughts. We thank you for being here, and we celebrate Father's Day, and the reason why I'm here is because of my father. My father was an amazing rabbi who taught us to question everything. He taught us to be skeptical. I was so skeptical that when my father said, "I love you, Barry," I said, "Prove it." And he spent all of his years until the age of 95 proving it in so many ways. And my mom did also. We're here to celebrate the love of our parents, the love of family. So thank you for joining us on this wonderful Father's Day. And to show how beautiful this day is, there's a song, Ma Yafeh Hayom. Ma is how, Yafeh is beautiful today. Ma Yafeh Hayom, how beautiful is this day. Take it away.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Now, we're going to move into our candle lighting. Before we do that, we have responsive reading. So, actually, I take it back. It's not responsive reading. We're going to have Helen and Daniel come on up and lead us in the reading and also lighting the candles. Come on up. When you come up here to participate, you're also welcome to share any thoughts that you'd like to share with us on the Shabbat. I'll give you your very own microphone.
Okay.
Okay.
Microphone's not working.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. L'Dor Va-Dor. I just want to share with you, if you were in a strange land late at night trying to make your way through the forest it might be well to follow a blind old crazy person who had the ability to see through the darkness. But in the next day, in the morning, you'd be a little foolish to follow that same guy. You want to follow somebody with a great vision. And so in the dark days of human history, when we didn't really understand very much, there were some philosophies and some religions that taught a lot of crazy things. And people thought that it made sense to follow them. But now in the light of day, with the revelations of science and of reason, it makes sense to use those wonderful teachings in order to light our way. That's why we have the two candles. Science and religion. Faith and reason. Both of them burning brightly together. We're now going to introduce the Kiddush. To lead us in the Kiddush, I call upon Nancy Barry.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, it's very nice to be here. This is my first time here, and I really sound lovely. And grateful that we've been invited to share with all of you. I can say thank you. Thank you, Shabbos.
Thank you so much. Nancy is one of the leaders of our congregation, and I'm really happy to see that because we're in very, very good hands. And we join her in thanking Mariposa so much for allowing us the privilege to share Shabbat with you. Now we're going to sing Sweet Sabbath. When life began, sometime. Hold on, folks.
Hold on, let me fix this.
When life began, sometime before all knowing, I was growing strong inside of me. Come take my hand, join me in where I'm going. Together we'll find our destiny. One, glowing bright, Sabbath flames, spreading light on Friday night. Sweet Sabbath wine makes the simple sound seem so good. Oh, I'm inclined as a Jew to spread peace and brotherhood. On Friday night, we are no longer lonely. If only I share my love with you. And when we hurt, we'll bring each other comfort and rejoice in living as a Jew. One, our God is one, so I'm reaching out as the God in me touches you. Everybody, sweet Sabbath wine makes the simcha seem so good. Oh, I'm inclined our choir. Thank you. Carol here is forming a choir. And if anybody is interested, she'd love to acquire another singer. So you're all welcome to join. You do not have to be a member of L'Dor Va-Dor. The only qualifications are either you're a member of L'Dor Va-Dor, or you live in Mariposa, or you like to sing. If you fit any of those three categories, then you are welcome.
You don't have to necessarily be good. Like
No, that's all. I didn't say anything about quality. That's all, and we'd like to have it. We're now going to have a whole bunch of prayers. And before we do these prayers, I'm reminded of the person who was raised Jewish, and then he decided to convert and become a Buddhist. And they said, why did you want to convert? He said, well, when I was a kid, went to synagogue, and I didn't know what God meant. It was just some word that we mumbled with a lot of other Hebrew stuff that we didn't understand. So here today, we approach Judaism with a vision and a view of God that everyone can understand and nobody can refute. We can prove it's true, and we can prove its existence beyond any doubt. And we're very clear on what it is. In cosmic Judaism, this is what God is. It's a creative power in all, that unites all, and transcends all, constantly transforming what is into what could be. How can I prove that's within you? I think everybody here started out as one cell. And now you're 100 trillion of them, and you did it yourself. A little help from your mom, a little help from your folks and your dad, remember on Father's Day? But the cell knew how to duplicate itself. The universe started as a singularity. From that, it created all this. So there's a creative power at work in all. It unites all, because we started out as one, and that's our goal. It transcends all. It's more than any one individual. It's a power in everything. That's what God is. And the prayers are just different ways of sharing our joy and our thanks, our wonder at this creative power that's in us. And Shabbat is calling us to tap into that power to improve our lives and the lives of others. So we read responsibly. Light and darkness, night and day, we marvel at the mystery of stars.
Moon and sky, sand and sea, we marvel at the mystery of sun.
Twilight, high noon, dusk and dawn. Though we are mortal, we are creation's friend.
Flesh and bone, steel and stone, we dwell in fragile, temporary shadows.
Resplendent skies, sunset, sunrise, the grandeur of creation lifts our lives.
Evening, darkness, morning, and dawn, renew our love, provide us with love, compassion, and grace.
Next, we continue with Roll into Dark.
Please sing anytime you know it.
Roll into dark, roll into light.
Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Golero dime kosher, golero dime kosher, kosher dime yor, golero b'layla, golero dime kosher, golero dime kosher. The ocean roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
back millions of years ago, there were fires in the forest, and animals would see them and run like mad. But eventually our ancestors evolved to a point where right before they were about to run for their lives, they'd look in awe and wonder and reverence at the power. And they realized that there's an incredible power in this universe that they wanted to understand. Then he ran like heck. If he didn't, he wouldn't have left too many descendants. And so we are following those footsteps. We look at the world with a sense of awe and reverence, and the Baruch Hu, and all the prayers are just ways of thinking about this great power. The Baruch Hu says, let us stand for a moment and pause and give reverence to the wonderful, incredible powers at large in the world and in us as well. So we continue with the Baruch Hu.
Rise if you feel able, body or spirit. Baruch Hu, Elohai, Haberu, Baruch Adonai, Haberu, Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Oh, not yet? I'm sorry.
Stay where you are. Stay where you are. We're going to come out in a minute. We're going to read a prayer that gives thanks for all the wonders of the universe, the stars in the right pattern, the earth the right distance from the sun, and all the miracles, celestial and terrestrial, that allow us to continue. We read that with the next prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher v'yitbarach ma'aviv ha'avim u'chayom v'layla v'le'or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or ma'avir yom u'midi layla ma'avdil ben yom u'ben layla Adonai Sabaoth Shemo El Chai v'Kayam Hamid Yimloch Aleinu L'Olam Va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'aviv. Amen. We give thanks for the night and the day and for all the celestial wonders that make these things happen. We're now going to continue with the Shema. The Shema reminds us that this creative power is one. It started as a singularity. We're all descended from it. And our goal as Jews is to remember and to ponder and to work for the day when that unity of the entire universe has returned to our world. We sing the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
Now you may be seated. This is easy. And now we're going to continue with the Beha'Alotecha.
Beha'Alotecha es Adonai Elohecha, v'kol v'kol ashecha, u'v'kol Beha'Alotecha, v'hayu ha'devarim ha'erev, asher Elohim v'tzavecha, hayom al-levavecha, v'shinatam levavecha, v'dibartam ba'am, v'shintecha b'beitecha, u'v'letecha b'derech, u'shofecha u'rekumecha, u'kshartam le'ot al-yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha, u'ktatam al-mezuzot beitecha, u'yisharecha, Lama'an tizkeru, v'yasitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kidoshim v'lohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Some people are wondering, well, what did that song mean? That's the Beha'Alotecha. Beha'Alotecha means you shall love. How do we view creation? We should view all creation with love and try to love all creatures. Even those creatures like a mosquito that are kind of annoying, if it wasn't for mosquitoes, we wouldn't be around, because they're part of the chain of life. So we're supposed to try to revere and love all living things. We now continue responsibly, or we continue with responsibly. Grant us the privilege of the liberating joy of Shabbat, of truly tasting its delights.
And undisturbed by sorrow, for these holy Shabbat hours.
Help us to expand the dimensions of all Shabbat's pleasures, to extend its spirit to the other days of the week.
May our words and meditation help to bring peace to our universe and world, and let us say,
The Shema teaches us to listen to the voice of the oppressed and to listen to the music of the spirits. Listen by L'Dor Va-Dor.
if you are lost and feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all of your mind. Write them, learn them, and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. When you stand there, something to say, stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen to our God. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Baruch listen to our God. Listen to our God. My mom loved that song, and her birthday was last week. She's no longer with us, but I've been thinking of her all week from this beautiful song that we chose to do. Thank you.
Her influence is still here today, and as reflected in this beautiful music. I do want to share with you on Father's Day that my dad was the rabbi of L'Dor Va-Dor until he was 95 years old. He took a nap one Shabbat and didn't wake up. And that evening I took over L'Dor Va-Dor on my own, and it was a great responsibility. But I remember my dad used to always teach that everything that we do should make sense. And when he heard how I took that another step further with something we call cosmic Judaism and allowed science to be revealed through the Jewish religion. He was thrilled and ecstatic because he didn't want me to just do what he did. He wanted me to take his principles and ideals and apply it. Same thing with my kids. I have a son, Brandon. I taught him to play basketball. I love basketball. I coached him in basketball. And one day he started doing moves I never even attempted it. And I was so thrilled that he passed me out, that he went beyond what I was able to do. And Ari taught all about science, and now he's at the University of Florida doing research to help find a cure to cancer, which could help so many people. And when I speak to him, and he says things that he has to dumb down so I can understand, even though I study science, I'm just so thrilled, so wonderful. And to see him and his brother getting along, laughing and joyously, is the greatest gift. So when we read the Avot, and we read about our ancestors, some people say, Rabbi, what you're saying, that's not in the Torah. How can you say that? That's not there, I don't see where it is. Do you think that our ancestors would want us to continue a Bronze Age approach to Judaism? Or would our ancestors rejoice and revel in what their descendants were able to accomplish by applying their principles, their dedication to knowledge, seeing how far we can advance? And so we read the Avot Imahot, giving thanks to our ancestors and our parents, our grandparents, giving thanks that they raised us in such a way that we are not chained by the past, but we can be changed by the past for the better. In honor of our ancestors and our fathers and our mothers, we read the Avot. If you like, if you can, please stand up for this part of the service. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Soba, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, האל הגדול הגיבור הנורא אל עליון, אומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע מגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת צורה, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. And when we read this Avot, it's changed. It's the Avot, the Imahot. We give thanks to our fathers and to our mothers, because in Judaism we venerate and we cherish our mothers. And because we do, we give them the authority over their own reproductive system to decide when and if and under what circumstances they are ready to be a parent, because that is what makes the Jewish family strong. It's not quantity, it's quality. And deciding for ourselves when it's right to be a parent. Please be seated, my friends. We're now going to have the next song, which is Psalm 1. This is the Cantor Carol Garrett original.
Remember Father's Day. Blessed be the man who walks in the way of righteousness, who speaks the in kindness, who helps holding in love, who delights in others. He is like a tree that gives water, yielding its fruit in season. Do not wither. In all he does, he prospers, as easy as the wind is blowing. New growth springs forth, and he will be protected.
know Hebrew, you might think, amen. That sounds kind of chauvinistic towards men. Amen. Actually, amen is a Hebrew word. It's really to heat amen, to make something happen, to work on something until it becomes a reality. So when we say amen, what that means is that all these beautiful sentiments and thoughts and goals and aspirations, may they come true. And so we spend a few moments in silent meditation trying to figure out a game plan, giving cognizance of all we have to be grateful for, and thinking of the next week. How can we make this week a better one? What can we do to make these beautiful words a reality? So we now spend a few moments in silent meditation. I'm going to now read the names of those who are ailing. As they go through vicissitudes, health-wise, maybe emotional difficulties, financial issues, we hope that all of those who are struggling will receive a refuah shlema, a complete restoration of good health. We read the names of Melvin E. Cohen, Adam Cooper, Robert Dante, Bruce David, Teresa DeRoches, Donna Field, Laura Gallagher, Richard Glass, Sherry Glass, Arthur Hoffman, Carol Kahn, Frida Marshall, Dr. Sudhir Nair, Martha Reyna, Bernard Rosen, Judy Rothman, Karen Sloan, Fred Spilov, Janai Taylor, Naomi Golden. Any other names that you'd like to share with us? Yes.
Brian Russell.
Thank you. Yes. Brown. Anybody else? Yes.
Stephen Park.
Yes. Anybody else?
Charlie, my guitar was injured.
Oh, your guitar. Okay. We also always say a prayer of healing for our planet, which is not doing too well these days. And I don't know if people watching the hearings like I have, but if you have, we'll say a prayer for a fragile democracy and hope that it comes through and pulls through and make sure our rights are still alive and well. We now continue with the Shabbat.
To make our lives a blessing, and let us say,
We are now going to enter into our Torah service, the pièce de résistance, And before we do, we read together. We're reading the parsha, Beha'Alotecha. Let us read together. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things the Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows. A congregation of L'Dor Va-Dor, we do not cherish the Torah because it contains the Word of God. We cherish the Torah because it contains the words of our ancestors in search of God. The quest, the journey, the curiosity, and the dream of understanding and learning how to live in peace. That is why we cherish the Torah, and also because they laid down their lives often so that it would be preserved and cherished. We hope that we will measure up and become worthy of inheriting this wonderful teaching.
Read the Torah, what a tale its words would tell about the old-time heroes in the land of Israel. And when the world grows dark, they provide the spark to help the blind to see our shared humanity. And we know when things go wrong, we must stay strong in our search for harmony. If you would read the portents and the writing on the wall, we could begin to fathom the rise of mankind and its fall. When the Jews are cursed, it brings out the worst in a society and leads to tyranny. But in those lands where Jews are blessed, it brings out the best, and it leads to liberty. Injustice here or injustice there is injustice everywhere, as taught by Dr. King. And if you read each sacred line, then you may find that love empowers everything, and love's power is so real. There's so much for us to do that we need each Jew, so let's not forget it. I don't know where the world went wrong, but we must stay strong and watch each other's back. If you could read the Torah, what a tale its words would tell about a legendary people in the land of Israel. The people strong, who still belong at the core of history, seeking peace and harmony. The Jews have always led the way towards a brand new day and helped us to be free.
And now we are ready to read the Torah, but first we have to say thanks for the Torah with Tov Va-Dor. Tov Va-Dor means it is good to give thanks.
Dole hojo ladonai, dole hojo ladonai. Uzavir, simcha elyon, dole hojo ladonai. Dole hojo ladonai, dole hojo ladonai.
Baruch hu et Adonai Haborah, Baruch Adonai Melech le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar bנו mכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. We are reading this evening from Beha'Alotecha. When you go up into the promised land. ויהי העם מתעננים רע באוזני אדוני, וישמע אדוני ויחר אפו. The Jewish people once again were complaining about life in the desert, and God got very angry. And af in Hebrew is nose. Apo is his nose. Yichar means he flared his nostrils. That's an idiomatic expression in Hebrew for meaning he was really mad. And they often personified God in this way. ותבער בם איש אדוני ותאכל בקצה המנחנה. God was so angry that he set off a series of fires on the outskirts of the camp. ויצעק העם אל משה, ויתפלל משה אל אדוני ותשקע האש. And they cried out to Moses, and Moses pleaded, and the fire was put out. ויקרא שם המקום ההוא תבערה, כי בערה vam esh Adonai. They call that place Tiverah. Tiverah is a Hebrew word meaning a consuming fire, because fire was burning out there and destroying people. The ha'asasaf asher b'kerbo hit'avu ta'aveh v'yashuvu. And the riffraff, it's usually how it's translated, the riffraff started stirring things up against Moses. It was actually an insurrection of riffraff against their leader. ויבכו גם בני ישראל ויאמרו מי יאכלנו בשר. And the people were so angry. They said, why is there no meat for us to eat here? This is terrible. זכרנו את הדגה אשר נאכל במצרים וזינה את הכושיים ואת הערתיים ואת החציל ואת הצלים ואת השומם. We remember the fish and the beautiful pastries and the wonderful food and the fruit and all the wonderful things that we enjoyed in Egypt, which we don't have here in this desert. Ba'ata nashenu yivasha en kol bilti et haman enenu. And here we are in this desert. And all there is for us to eat is this manna. V'haman kisora God hu v'eno ge'en ha'ta'u shetu ha'am v'laku v'tachano v'rachim az darkem midacham. The people there were so embittered that even a gift of food from the heavens, they complained about that and did not appreciate it. וישמע משה את העם בוכה למשפחותיו איש בפתח העלו ויחרף. Moses heard all these complaints, and he gets the same idiom, ויחרף. And he also, according to the idiom, flared his nostrils. He was mad at the people for being so ungrateful, and vayomer, and for doing all this evil in his sight. ויאמר משה אל אדוני, למה החיית לעבדך, ולמה לא מצאתי חן בעיניך לשון את מסע כל העם הזה אלי? Why did you treat me so miserably? Why did you make me have to lead this rabble-rousing group of people, these malcontents? What did I do to deserve such a fate? כל תאמר אלי שאהו בחוקיך אשר יישא האמן והיינו על האדמה אשר נשבתה לעבודך. Did I bear these children? Am I their parent? Do I have to look after them like a nursemaid? לא אוכל אנוכי לבדי לשאת את כל העם הזה כי כבוד ממנו. I can no longer do this. This task is too much for me. It's beyond me. ואם ככה את עושה לי הרגני, נהרו אם מצאתי חן בעיניך ואל אברה בראתי. If you care anything about me, if you're concerned at all for my welfare, slay me right now. Kill me here on the spot and spare me from having to deal with these people. The blessing after the Torah. Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu tzuchat emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. I'd like to share with you a little story before I start my remarks about the Torah passage, about this woman who was looking over the house next door, and she said to her husband, "Look at that house. It's so dirty. It's unkempt. Why don't they ever clean their house?" She kept looking over there day after day, complaining. And then one day she said, Finally, they've cleaned up their house, and now their house looks beautiful." My husband said, "No, they didn't. I just washed our window." My friends, how often is it that we look at others and we see all these terrible things, or we look at the world and we see things that are wondrous, but we need to clean out our windows to get a better vision. But we know our vision is what's sullied. It's not the world around us. The world is an incredible, awesome place of miracles. We see through eyes that are tarnished. The purpose of this Shabbat celebration is to fulfill the words of that great scholar, Voltaire, who said, "The greatest voyage of all is not to see new landscapes, but to see with new eyes." That's why we're here in Shabbat, to see how wonderful this world really is. These people were so embittered that food was literally falling down from the sky in the desert. And they were still complaining and angry. Many of us don't take this book literally. We don't think that food actually came out of the sky. It's teaching us something. As my father used to say, I'll quote him on Father's Day,
Many of these stories never happened, but they're all true. Isn't it not true? Do you and I not see miracles and still complain? Do you and I see things through sunny eyes where we're incapable of noticing the beauty of a child? The wonderful gift of professional basketball players playing incredible sports, even if our team loses. Being able to enjoy the fruits of this land, the love of our friends, a beautiful place like Mariposa. Do you know how many people in their senior years would give anything they could to be in this place? With all of its pleasures and all its wonders and people who take care of us. And I don't know how others feel, but for me, I feel truly blessed and so fortunate to be here, to be able to share a little bit of my father's insights, a little bit of the joy of Judaism with everyone here. I know firsthand about ingratitude. In my younger years, I used to perform a Passover Seder on a cruise ship, and I would see people come on board, and this was kind of new to me. They'd have all the food you could possibly imagine. And if they wanted more, they could have more. People waiting on them, all the creature comforts, and they complained. They were bitter, they were angry. Where's this? Where's that? Whoa, whoa. And I thought, how sad is that? You have all of this, and you're still not happy. You've mastered the art of complaining. But you'll never, ever find happiness if you think that happiness is going to come from the outside, as Samuel Adams said, and you don't realize that true happiness comes from your attitude of gratitude, which shouldn't be a platitude. That's why we sing Torah L'Dor, how good it is to give thanks, because L'Dor and Torah is related to word Yehuda, which is how we get the word Jewish, Judaism, to give thanks. To give thanks is to be Jewish. You don't have to know a word of Hebrew. You don't have to know any of the rituals. Give thanks, and you will be practicing Judaism. And what we give thanks for in Judaism also is an incredible rational mind that stands on the shoulders of others. So we can, for the first time in human history, know where we came from. And know that over billions of years we evolved an incredible, wondrous, magnificent story of survival of our ancestors who struggled so that we could be here. An incredible story of evolution, how Earth got here from all the cosmic roulette, all these things that were clashing and crashing and burning in the heavens. Somehow Earth survived. Do we give thanks for that? Do we wake up and think how fortunate it is that we survived all those cosmic collisions? No. Our vision is off. That's why Isaac Newton said, I don't know how others see me. On his epitaph, he said, but the way I see myself is as a child on a seashore, the center of pebble, a little brighter than the rest, while a great ocean of understanding lay before me. Trying to understand all the mysteries, that's what is so wonderful. And it was the great Carl Sagan who turned the Voyager around the distance of Saturn, took a selfie of planet Earth, and saw a pale blue dot. On that day, he helped humanity achieve a cosmic understanding, cosmic vision of the world. He said, on that dot, all the wars, all the fighting, all the conflict, all the hopes and dreams, all the greed, all the nastiness took place. And if we could view the earth from that perspective, then maybe we would stop all of this and realize that we're all one family and live in harmony. That's what our ancestors wanted to do. They climbed up to the highest mountain they could find, Mount Sinai, to try to look down and see with a cosmic perspective. They imagined building a great tower to the sky so they could see. Today we can see. Today with science we're able to see into the cosmos. We can see our own evolutionary history. And when we see with these eyes, we realize that life is an incredible, wondrous, beautiful, magnificent gift. And the more we understand about science and reason, the more incredible it is. And the question is, what do we do with that gift? We who have evolved over billions of years, we who have the ability to make decisions, we who have the ability to see with new eyes, will we exercise that gift? Will we finally learn to see as our ancestors were able to see in a pre-scientific age. They could see a vision of the world where they beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning hooks, where they got rid of every single assault weapon you could possibly find, where they closed down every single gun shop you could imagine, where they allowed women to make up their own choice, and where they treated the earth not as a commodity to use and exploit and destroy, but as our mother. And on this Father's Day, let us cherish Mother Earth and Father Time. Those are our greatest gifts. Shabbat Shalom. Now we have a song, My Father's House.
I heard somebody say, what was the parsha?
Beha'Alotecha.
My Father's eyes. Happy Father's Day, everyone. I made happy every mother's dream, a little girl. And I made face by face the mind of everyone in the world. But that's alright, as long as I can have one wish I pray. When people look inside my life, I wanna hear them say, she had her father's eyes, her father's eyes that find the good things when good is not around, and eyes that find the source of help when help just can't be found, eyes full of compassion, seeing everything, knowing what you're going through and feeling it the same, just like my father's eyes, my father's eyes, my father's eyes, just like my father's eyes. And on that day when we will pay for all the deeds we have done, good and bad, they'll all be had to see for everyone. And when they're called to stand up tall and say what they saw in me, more than anything I know, I want their words to be, she's got a father's eyes, her father's eyes that find the good things when good is not around, eyes that find the source of help when help would not be found, eyes full of compassion, seeing everything, knowing what you're going through and feeling it the same, just like my father's eyes, my father's eyes, my father's eyes, just like my father's eyes.
Beautiful. And our goal is to see the world through our fathers, our grandfathers, our ancestors' eyes.
Now we're going to continue now with the Aleinu, followed by the Kaddish.
Please stand and mind your body. If you feel comfortable. Aleinu
Remain standing for the Kaddish. We read the names of Seymour Feldman, Linda Preston, Sabine Rowland, Richard Sauer, Elaine Silver, who was recently taken from us. We also read the names of those, the anniversary whose departure occurs these days. Carl Bain, Solomon Berman, Dr. Leonard Bernstein, Celia Ronowitz, Jerry Kamina, Robert Foreman, Andrea Garner, Libby Balek, Helen Folkman, Hyman Folkman, Leonard Gilmore, Francis Goldman, Martin Goldstein, Ray Herman, Jack Kraft, Alan Krauss, Bonnie Larson, Robert Lee, Stephen Leibovitz, Frida Lesserkivitz, Jerome Miga, Stanley Millman, Leah Afmayas, Philip Harvitsky, Rose Radak, Estelle Rose, Sylvia Rosenwasser, Dorothy Rothschild, Alan Martin Salzer, Lawrence Salzer, Simon Salzer, Molly Schiffer, Emmanuel Schwartz, Herman Shanoff, Jack Sperber, Harold Stern, Lillian Taylor, Milton Worthy, and Bessie Winston. Any other names that you'd like to mention? We also mention the name of Joseph Gross, who was recently taken from us, and together we read the Kaddish. Yiskadam, Yiskadam, Shemeravan, Yomad, Yifmach, Hosei, Yom Yifmach, Hosei. V'chayachon v'yom echon v'chayil v'obeis Yisrael. V'agadav izman chavim v'imnu amen. Yehei shemer Adoni borach olam omei omayam. Yisborach, Yishtobach, Yisboar, Yisrolam, Yisnaseh. Yisrael, Yisrael, Salam, Shanei, Yisrael. Le'elome kor b'chasa v'shenatza. Yishtachasa v'nechamasa. Kam yamon yomam yomru amen. Yesh Mama Rabba Mishmaya Vachayim Aleinu V'Yoko Yisrael V'Yiko. Oseh Shalom Lemamar, V'Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'Yoko Yisrael V'Yiko. Amen. Please be seated. May you be blessed and protected with good health and prosperity. Que Dios les bendiga y les proteja. May the light of reason and of love shine upon you. Que la luz de razón y de amor se brille sobre ustedes. Be lifted up by the power of love and our heritage. So that you may be a source of peace. Que se levante por el poder de nuestra herencia. Sea un regalo de paz a todo el mundo. Now the final benediction.
Benediction actually is a good word. I would be remiss as one of the leaders of the Jewish vegetarians of North America if I didn't mention that in this very passage, when the Jews complained about not having meat, God was so outraged that he gave them meat until he said it will come out of your nostrils. And then afterwards, he caused a huge, awful, horrible plague. There are many people who believe and who see that the factory farms treat animals like objects and torturing them and tormenting them and filling our bodies with so much meat. It's bringing about a plague on the planet. It's not good for the planet. It's not good for the bodies. It's definitely not good for the animals. Let us endeavor to do a meatless Monday, and then maybe a Tuesday, and then a Wednesday, so we can bring about a world of peace as our ancestors imagined in the Garden of Eden, and at the end of days. And now we have the L'Dor Va-Dor.
L'Dor Va-Dor, Cantor, it's here.
Now we have the Motzi.
We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Before we conclude, as we approach Father's Day, I want to give thanks for allowing me to be here with all of you and to share my love for my Father, being transmitted as we speak right now. All of you, I thank you for allowing me that privilege. I also want to publicly thank the Board of Directors of Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor for having the courage to challenge laws that restrict women's rights and having the courage to take a stand. We could never be fathers if it wasn't for mothers.
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael 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 Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael 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 Chai.